Hello there everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today I am going to talk about ancient Greece, aka I guess talking about the Odyssey, obviously Christopher Nolan's brand new film coming up. But obviously I want to talk about the Odyssey, the original script, or I suppose the original poem that Homer actually wrote. And I actually want to talk about what happens in that story because obviously Christopher Nolan is going to make a story about it or a film about it. It is still a very, very interesting piece of art, I suppose, or I guess a piece of writing. So obviously Christopher Nolan is going to make this brand new film, which is quite cool because I think The Odyssey is one of those films that only Christopher Nolan can make, right? I think because he loves his cinema, he loves his IMAX, he is going to capture that beautiful like journey so damn good. I mean, in my opinion, I think Christopher Nolan is one of the best. I think, yeah, I don't want to say the best, but I think he's one of the best filmmakers, obviously currently working. And I love him. Like, really, he appreciates the art and the craft put into like big scope films. So, anyway, The Odyssey. What is The Odyssey, right? Obviously, it is written by Homer. He's obviously a ancient Greek philosopher, right? The Odyssey is one of the two major epics of ancient Greek literature, attributed to Homer. Obviously, not the Simpsons kind of Homer. He is an ancient Greek poet who is widely credited as the author of the Iliad and the Odyssey, two epic poems that are foundational works of ancient Greek literature. Despite uncertainties about his authorship, Homer is considered one of the most influential authors in history. Right? I guess he wrote the Odyssey, and suppose one of the other greatest works ever written, I think, is Paradise Lost by Milton, right? So there we go. Anyway, so it is one of the oldest surviving works of literature and remains popular with modern audiences. Like the Iliad, the Odyssey is divided into 24 books. It follows the heroic king of Ithaca, Odysseus, also known by the Latin various Ulysses, and his homecoming journey after the 10-year-long Trojan War. Obviously, the Trojan War, many think this was real. Obviously Troy, right? The Trojan War was set in Troy, and people think that Troy never existed, but Troy did actually exist. It's kind of confusing because these texts are so goddamn old, people assume that they're real, but obviously it's partly fictional, partly not fictional. It's kind of interesting because these Greek philosophers wrote down stories that might have some kind of meaning towards them, but they might also be half true, right? Obviously, the Trojan War was a legendary conflict in the Greek mythology that took place around the 12th or 13th century BC. So obviously, people just don't know if it actually occurred. So the war was waged by the Achaeans, I think, Greeks, against the city of Troy after Paris of Troy took Helen from her husband Menelaus, king of Sparta. Obviously, this war is one of the most, I guess, the war is one of the most important events in Greek mythology, and it has been narrated through many works of Greek literature, most notably, obviously, Homer's Iliad. The core of the Iliad, so it describes. There we go. Describes a period of 4 days and 2 nights in the 10th year of the decade-long siege of Troy. The Odyssey describes the journey home of Odysseus, one of the war's heroes. Other parts of the war are described in a cycle of epic poems which have survived through fragments. Episodes from the war provided material for Greek tragedy and other works of Greek literature, and for Roman poets including Virgil and Ovid. So the thing is, with these Greek stories, everything is connected in a way. So I can talk about obviously the Iliad and the Odyssey, obviously in many details, right? But I just want to stick with the main essential things about obviously the Odyssey. So obviously his journey from Odysseus from Troy to Ithaca lasts an additional 10 years, during which time he encounters many perils and all of his crewmates are killed. So there we go. In Odysseus' long absence, he is presumed dead, leaving his wife Penelope, played obviously in this brand new film by obviously Anna Hathaway, son Telemachus, I think, which is going to be played by obviously Tom Holland, to contend with a group of unruly suitors competing for Penelope's hand in marriage. The Odyssey was first composed in Homeric Greek around the 8th or 7th century BC. By the mid-6th century BC, it had become part of the Greek literature canon. In antiquity, Homer's authorship was taken as true, but contemporary scholarship predominantly assumes that the Iliad and the Odyssey were composed independently as part of long oral traditions. Given widespread illiteracy, the poem was performed for an audience by an Oduos, I think, or rhapsode. Key themes in the epic include the ideas of Nostos, obviously return of homecoming, wandering, xenia, obviously guest friendship, because the Greeks in these ancient Greek times thought everyone could have been a god, right? If they were nice to everyone, like this, I guess, guest friendship, that they were going to be obviously treated respectfully and well by the gods that they thought presumed, or they presumed that, the gods were people that actually wanted guests, or I guess friendship or whatever. It's kind of interesting, but essentially, like, if a ancient Greek person was like, oh, where you're new in town, maybe you can go and come in my house, I'll provide food and bed for you. Obviously they assumed that that was obviously a god, so they were always nice towards other people, right? So that was their thing, right? I think. So there we go. Testing and omens. Scholars discuss the narrative prominence of certain groups within the poem, such as women and slaves, who have larger roles than in other works of ancient literature. This focus is especially remarkable when contrasted with the Iliad, which centers the exploits of soldiers and kings during the Trojan War. The Odyssey is regarded as one of the most significant works of the Western canon. The first English translation of the Odyssey was in the 16th century. Adaptations and reimaginings continue to be produced across a wide variety of media. In 2018, when BBC Culture polled experts around the world to find literature's most enduring narrative, the Odyssey topped the list. So there we go. All right, that is very, very interesting, right? The Odyssey, let's just, talk about the story synopsis, right? 10 years after the Greeks won the Trojan War, Odysseus, king of Ithaca, has yet to return home from Troy. In his absence, 108 boorish suitors court his wife Penelope. Penelope tells them she will marry when she is done weaving a shawl. However, she secretly unweaves it every night. That is very, very interesting. The goddess Athena, disguised first as Mantis, then as a mentor, tells Odysseus' son Telemachus, right, to seek news of his father. The two leave Ithaca and visit Nestor, who tells them that Agamemnon, obviously the commander of the Greek army at Troy, was murdered soon after the war. Telemachus travels to Sparta to meet Agamemnon's brother Menelaus, I think, yeah, who in turn describes his encounter with the shape-shifting god Proteus, I think. Menelaus says he learned from Proteus that Odysseus is alive but held captive by the nymph Calypso. So, two essential characters in this story are obviously Agamemnon, which obviously he came back from the Trojan War. He was, I think, he commanded the Achaeans, I think, during the Trojan War. He was the son of the king Atreus and queen Europe, the brother of Menelaus, the husband of Clytemnestra, and the father of Iphigenia, Iphiniasa, Electra, Ludica, Orestes, and someone else. But anyway, Agamemnon got killed, I think, by the goddess Artemis, right? Because he actually needed to sacrifice his daughter for, like, her. I'm not quite sure. It's interesting thing. And obviously Calypso is another character. Obviously Calypso was a nymph who lived on the island of Ogygia, where, according to the Homer's Odyssey, she detained Odysseus for 7 years against his will. She promised Odysseus immortality if he would stay with her, but Odysseus preferred to return home, obviously. So this bloke literally had so many years, it took so many goddamn years to eventually get back to his wife and smash her once again. Dude, this guy just obviously, wow, this is going to be such a brilliant movie, man. I can't bloody wait for it. Holy shit, I am interested in Greek lore and ancient Greek obviously gods and stories. I'm really interested because I think that's part of, like, the Western culture, right? This is literally a lot of people's ancestors that wrote these stories, and I think that's kind of interesting. And just think about it. Obviously, although some of these things might not be true, others might have been true in somehow, some way, right? Obviously, Odysseus' crew then sailed past the Sirens, whose obviously entrancing song lured sailors to their deaths, right? So Sirens, they don't exist, right? But I think obviously because it is a story, so many tragedies happen that obviously Odyssey or Odysseus, right, eventually just ends up where he needs to be. And I think it's kind of like a moral of the story. It's I think it's better to was it like have an adventure and then obviously you arrive at your destination than just go to your destination, in one long travel, right? So everything and anything happens with Odysseus here in this brand new, I guess, film that's going to be made by Christopher Nolan, and I'm really, really excited. So obviously, let's talk about, I guess, the cast and crew of this brand new film. So alright, let's go. So obviously, The Odyssey is an upcoming epic action fantasy film written and directed by Christopher Nolan. Yes, you heard that right. It is an epic action fantasy film. Obviously, that is something that The Odyssey does, right? It's full of fantasy and mythical creatures that don't exist, right? It's an adaptation of Homer's ancient Greek epic The Odyssey. The film stars Matt Damon as Odysseus, the Greek king of Ithaca, and chronicles his long and perilous journey home after the Trojan War as he attempts to reunite with his wife Penelope. I'm pretty sure Matt Damon is going to win an Oscar for this one. So there we go. Alright, so let's see here. He attempts to reunite with his wife Penelope, played by Anna Hathaway, right? The ensemble cast also features Tom Holland as obviously Odysseus' son. Robert Pattinson is one of the, I guess, men that want to, get the hand of Penelope, right? Lupita Nyong'o, I think, is going to play Goddess. I think she's going to play, boy, is she going to play Circe or whatever? I'm not quite sure. Zendaya is going to play Goddess. I think that's Athena or Artemis or something like that. Charlize Theron is going to be also in the film. So there we go. Among others, Nolan and his wife Emma Thompson produced the film through their production company Syncope, right? Nolan began writing The Odyssey in March 2024, secured the project with Universal Pictures by October, and the film was announced in December. Casting occurred throughout, obviously, late 2024, and Damon was confirmed for a lead role in February 2025. Principal photography took place from February to August 2025 across multiple international locations, including Morocco, Greece, Italy, Scotland, Iceland, and Western Sahara. That is very interesting. Those are some really great locations. With an estimated budget of $250 million, the film is the most expensive of Nolan's career and is first to be shot entirely on IMAX 70mm film cameras. The Odyssey is scheduled to be theatrically released in the United States by Universal Pictures on the 17th of July 2026. The Odyssey follows Odysseus, right? The legendary Greek king of Ithaca, and his long and perilous journey home following the Trojan War, chronicling his encounters with mythical beings such as Cyclops, Polyphemus, I think, sirens, and the witch goddess Circe, while attempting to reunite with his wife Penelope. So there we go. Like I already talked about, Matt Damon is Odysseus, right? The legendary Greek king of Ithaca, and obviously director Christopher Nolan described Odysseus as complicated, an amazing strategist, and a very wily person, and was interested in his cleverness and inventiveness. Tom Holland as Telemachus, I think, the Odysseus' son, who is determined to find his father, and Anna Hathaway as Penelope, the wife of Odysseus, who is fending off potential suitors in his absence. Robert Pattinson as Antinous, I think, one of Penelope's suitors. Lupita Nyong'o is, I think, Circe, or might be another goddess. Wait a second, she might be Helen of Troy even. So there we go. There we go. Okay, Zendaya as Athena, the goddess of wisdom, war, and handicraft, who is protecting Odysseus. That is really interesting. Charlize Theron as Circe. Oh, okay. Alright. Yeah, okay. I think Lupita Nyong'o is going to play Helen of Troy. And obviously, Charlize Theron as Circe. John Berthel as Menelaus, the Greek king of sport and the younger brother of Agamemnon. Okay, yeah, okay, yes, okay. That is really, really good. Obviously, Benny Safdie as Agamemnon, the commander of the Achaeans during the Trojan War and the elder brother of Menelaus. That's interesting. Benny Safdie looks younger than John Berthel, no? I think so. Okay, but still very interesting pairing there. John Leguizamo, obviously as Imoes, Odysseus' faithful servant, and I guess John Leguizamo, wow, that's a very difficult name to pronounce, is the GOAT, man. I really like him. So there we go. Amish Patel as Areolocus, Odysseus' second in command. That's interesting. Okay. Will Yin Lee as one of Odysseus' shipmates, Maya Goth as Melantho, a maid of Odysseus and Penelope. Alright. Jimmy Gonzalez as Siphus, one of Odysseus' shipmates. Dude, okay. Additional actors cast and undisclosed supporting roles are Elliot Page, Bill Irwin, Samantha Morton, Jesse Garcia, Rafi Gavron, Shiloh Fernandez, Corey Hawkins, Nikki Tarabay, Maurice Comte, Michael Vlemes, Ido Goldberg, Josh Stewart, Ryan Hurst, Anthony Molinari, Giovon Atapo, I think. Alright, interesting. Logan Marshall Green and James Remir, I think. After director Christopher Nolan won the Academy Awards for Best Picture and Best Director for his film Oppenheimer in 2024, he began writing the script for his next film. Nolan was revealed in October to be developing his next film at Universal. After working with a studio on Oppenheimer, Nolan was confirmed to be writing the script and producing the film once again with his wife Emma Thompson. Obviously, through their production company Syncope, Matt Damon was in talks to star in the film after collaborating with Nolan on Oppenheimer and Interstellar, and filming was slated to begin in early 2025. So, the film's logline and additional details of its premise were kept largely secretive compared to Nolan's previous films, which prompted much speculation about its subject matter. So there we go. This included rumors that it would either be a vampire period piece, a reboot of the 1983 helicopter action thriller film Blue Thunder, or an adaptation of the British spy television series The Prisoner. So there we go. Which confirmed to star later in October when Tom Holland was cast, right, with Matt Damon. So there we go. Previously, Nolan collaborators Anna Hathaway, who starred in Dark Knight and Interstellar, and Robert Pattinson, who starred in Tenet, joined the cast in November, alongside Zendaya. And I guess it's funny that Zendaya and Tom Holland work together now in one film. It's really cool. This is going to be their second film, or first film, I guess. They're also going to be, obviously, in Spider-Man, so there we go. So, alright, that is very cool, right? The first scenes were filmed in late February at the Ait Ben Hadou village in the city of Ouarzazate, Morocco, to depict the city of Troy at the end of the Trojan War and Douvre, I think, sequence before the bulk of the Odyssey. So that's interesting. Many other filming locations. Alright, we have the Egadian Islands in Sicily, Italy, to film on the island of Favignana, believed to be the location known as the Goat Island in the poem. So there we go. That is interesting. Okay. Filming took place 4 days between July 17th and 22nd, with Damon and Zendaya and the White Dune near Dekla, Western Sahara, a city under Moroccan occupation since 1975. Oh yeah, right. I heard that Nolan got in trouble for filming on like a location somewhere in Morocco or whatever. The roles of several actors were revealed in late 2025, including Hathaway as Odysseus' wife Penelope, Zendaya as the goddess Athena, Pattinson as Antinous, one of Penelope's suitors, Bernthal as Spartan king Menelaus, Safdie as Agamemnon, right? And many others too. Goth as Odysseus and Penelope's maid Melantho, and Gonzalez as Cephus, a member of Odyssey's crew. DNAG is providing the film's visual effects. Some of Nolan's previous collaborators returning for the Odyssey are visual effects supervisor Andrew Jackson, editor Jennifer Lane, and composer Ludwig Göransson. So there we go. Obviously, Ludwig Göransson, best known for The Mandalorian and obviously Oppenheimer too. So there we go. Universal Pictures released a surprise first look image of Damon and costume as Odysseus in the middle of February 2025. Yes, obviously it's a promotional image of obviously Matt Damon in costume, and many historians are like, oh my god, this is not the right time period or whatever. Screw that. I think Nolan is going to give us one hell of a movie, so just shut up. So there we go. Alright, I think this is a rather really good looking film. I saw the trailer in the cinema and I was like really blown away by it, because I was like, holy shit, you're going to see this epic tale be brought into a cinema near you on IMAX. Dude, that stuff is going to be wild as fuck. Holy shit, people are going to enjoy that quite a bit, I think. And this is probably going to be, I think, one of the most popular films of 2026. It might even get an Oscar. I think Nolan is only cooking more and more. And I think The Odyssey is a very bold decision to be brought on the screen. Obviously, there have been other Greek tragedy movies before, like obviously the film with Brad Pitt, the Troy, right? Troy, the film from 2009. That's also with the same, I guess, style of story, right? But the Odyssey and Christopher Nolan, two things that people just, I think that's a perfect combination. And to be honest, I can't wait to see what Nolan will do after this film, because this will probably be his top film. I think, how can you even top this? I mean, Nolan has made a science fiction epic with Interstellar, Oppenheimer, the biopic, right, about obviously Oppenheimer himself, the Odyssey, now about obviously Odysseus. Dude, where can you go after this? I'm going to be so surprised to see where he will go in the future, but obviously can't wait to see this brand new film. I'm really excited and hyped to see the Odyssey. So right, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will check you later. Goodbye.
Promise me you will come back.
What if I can't?